Hey guys, we're back with the next episode of Sryth, our fantasy text-based RPG. Last time we took care of the giants of Hawklore. We finished all the adventures of Hawklore, so what I wanted to do next, I thought was finally get Trollbont, which is the Proving Ground adventure number 2 in Trollbont. So I'm gonna work on that next. I'm gonna head off to my castle to drop off some of my stuff, and then we'll do that. So hey, thanks so much for hanging out and joining me. I appreciate you. Let's go. Look, you guys, I'm righteous. I know. Let's go to my castle. Hey, candles. Oh, that's the thing, candles. Yeah, let's drop some stuff. Yes, short sword medallions, please and thank you. I'm never gonna drop my Vandal's Fury. That's my bow. Thing's amazing. Okay. One day I'll figure out how to sell this stuff. Visit my coachman. Take me back to Hawklore, please. Thank you so much. Alright, we're here. So what I want to do is do the Proving Grounds. I want to do, I guess it's Proving Grounds 4. One day I will do all these Proving Grounds, but Proving Grounds 4 will get me Trollbont. So Jirig, Aeroth, I don't know. I'm just gonna say Aeroth. Jirig Aeroth. Yeah. Jirig Aeroth is better known throughout the realms by his infamous moniker, the Troll Hunter. When by chance you become involved with the legendary monster slayer in his ragged band of huntsmen, you find yourself in for more adventure than you ever bargained for. So I'm probably just do part 1 this time around, unless they're very long. But as you can see, there's like 16 parts to this, so hopefully I get Trollbont in the first one. But we'll see. Let's go. The moment you step into Two Spins alehouse in Winlawn, you find yourself barraged with coarse insulting comments from a rugged band of 5 men seated in a table just inside the front doors. When you turn to acknowledge them, one of them picks up a crust of bread from the table and hurls it at you, striking you in the thigh. Be a nice lass and pick that up for me, will you? He grins patronizingly. When you return his jab with one that elicits laughter from the other Palehouse patrons, the man leaps to his feet, clearly angered by the cutting retort. Maybe you ought to take care who you spit those words at, he said gruffly as he started distracting me. Bruh. Alright, let's unarm because we just want him to feel bad. Quickly assuming a defensive posture, the man steps into striking niche. She lunged forward, twisting his arm behind his back and driving into the floor, pinning him against the boards with one knee. You warn him not to consider attacking you and then release your hold on him, allowing him to gain his feet. Obviously unnerved by your unarmed combat prowess, the man mutters a quick apology before returning to his table to take a seat against his jeering cohorts. You nod curtly in acceptance of his humble requital and set about getting yourself a taste of famous red fox ale you came out of your way seeking. The red fox ale is well deserving of its stalwart reputation. The thick creamy ale is both filling and refreshing, and after swiftly downing your first frothing flagon, you promptly order a second. The tavern keep, an unshaven man with thin lips, facing flesh and eyes you curiously as he serves up a second draught of this house specialty. Don't mind us there, he says somewhat self-consciously. Not every day we got a lady of your standing coming here, seeking adventure up this way, are we? Engaged with harmless small talk with the tavern keep, preferring to keep any information or importance out of the conversation. After several minutes, he makes mention of an unpleasant incident that occurred when you first entered his establishment. Sorry you had to run into a crew like that, he says apologetically. We get their types out this way in the wild country. Must have just passing through down on their luck, high on pride and spoiling for a fight. Look as though you no trouble hunting yourself, as I was expecting less. In any event, don't let reflecting a fine tavern and a finer ale. You know the drought in the house, you know. Taking your first sip of the new flagon of ale when the tavern says something that commands your attention. He tells you that Jirig Aeroth, a man better known throughout these parts as the Troll Hunter, passed through town a couple of days ago with a sizable band of fellow huntsmen. They've been hard to deal with a bit of goblin trouble in these parts, he said, plainly showing his disdain for the infamous woodsman, but making an unflattering face. If you will to ask me, I'll tell you straight away that he and his folk are nothing but trouble themselves. Seems a pity we have to rely on a band of uncivilized mercenaries to do what our king and his thanes ought to be doing. By the old father, I'll attest it's a miss. Despite his thoughts on the contrary, you have a keen desire to take this opportunity to meet the almost legendary figure known throughout North Broadlands as the Troll Hunter. Lieutenant Keith seems somewhat taken aback when you ask him if he knows the whereabouts of Jirig and his band, but he quickly recovers from his surprise and Riley shakes his head. Why should that surprise me, he smirks. I suppose someone like that does hold interest for an adventurous lass like yourself. The last word given me was that they were camped in the ruins of the old church on the western edge of town, unless they've already laid steals to the goblins they were after. I'd wager they're still up that way. Take the Lieutenant Keith, finish your ale, and set out at once on the western edge of Windlawn. The old church is just over 2 miles west of the town centre, and as you approach the crumbling moss-covered shell of a once glorious stone structure, you can plainly see a thick column of grey smoke rising out of the midst of the ruins. And as you draw closer to a ruined church, you hear the sound of a lute being strummed and several voices harmonizing in the latter half of the ancient traveller's rhyme. And sudden sound of movement to your right frees you, and your tracks, your head snaps in the direction of the sound. You find yourself staring at a bearded man whose heavy crossbow is leveled at your chest. What brings you up this way, stranger? One down. Next, goblin work. The man whose crossbow is leveled at your chest quickly lowers his weapon and apologizes upon recognizing you. You'll forgive me, I hope, he says, bowing courteously. Your reputation precedes you, Ellison. Jirig will be happy to know we've such an illustrious visitor to our camp. He led into the ruins of the old church, in the midst of what is situated a well-organized encampment. A tall man, his broad shoulders and thick, sinewy arms, betraying in immense physical strength, rises from his seat next to a roaring fire and steps forward to meet you. Approach his hand extended as he prepares to initiate a shoulder cross. It's your first glimpse of the man known as the Troll Hunter. Hi, friend. Honored to meet you, Ellison, he says, before you've even had a chance to introduce yourself. I've heard of your doings on and off for quite some time. Must say it's an impressive bit of work all round. He returns his friendly greeting and offers you a seat next to him at the fire and hands you a wooden bowl full of steaming stew. When I heard that someone had put the iron to just your gun, I could hardly believe it. Wow, they've heard about me. But when I heard your name come up, I had no doubts. You'll have to tell me the whole story someday. As you eat surprisingly tasty stew, Jirig tells you that he and his men have been in the area for over 2 weeks dealing with a particularly stubborn and ambitious group of cave goblins. He says the goblin problem is worse than he'd ever imagined, and that he had 4 men desert his ranks in the last 2 days. He's a tougher breed than most, he says, carving on a stick and a broad-bladed knife. To be honest, Ellison, we could use someone like you. The fight's been more than I expected, and I'm not sure I've got enough men to last it out. Sometimes I wish it's just trolls. Sure, I surely do. Vex Jirig about the goblins, and he tells you they learned that they are led by a savage trio of brothers who look after their aging father, who was once a mighty goblin huntsman. I've heard tell of them for some time, he says, tossing a stick he had been whittling into the fire. There's no name for them that I know, but I'd like the chance to square off for the 3 of them. I haven't seen hard hair of them since I come up this way, though. But we've laid down a good number of their clan. We found out about in the woods, usually after dark. Jirig tells you that just over an hour ago, a pair of his men returned from the scouting mission and reported that they found a cave in the north that was surrounded by goblin sign. There's no doubt that that's what they're hiding out, he says, looking up from the fire and settling in his gaze upon you. I'm sending 4 of my men to look into it, a little more before we storm it. I'm all too familiar with the tricks goblins play. They'll do nothing more than to lead their prey to an ambush. So, what do you think, Ellison? You're up for it? I'd be honored to send you along with him. To be honest, I'd appreciate your assessment of it all. Sure. Jirig tells you that he'll cut you into the payment they received for the service there. He offers to give you half of his own share, 500 gold. There's likely to be more than that to go around. Got a knack for negotiating, I tell you, before all is said and done. Yeah, I won't try to talk him out of more money. I'm rich. I just finished for fun. Don't worry, Ellison, said Jirig after accepting your offer. After you accept the offer, there'll be more. You can be sure of that. Jirig smiles and meets you in the shoulder cross. The 4 men setting off in the cave with you are Tibstock, Jod, Pirwin, and Dog. Each of these men have been with Jirig for nearly 3 years, and they are experienced woodmen and warriors. It is Pirwin who discovered the cave and is eager to return and further investigate it. Anything crossing paths with the five of you. Anything crossing paths with the five of you had better do so on friendly terms. Asked Jirig as you make ready to depart the camp. Before you leave, Jirig gathers the five of you into a circle and says a brief prayer for the success of your mission and for a swift and safe return. No heroes, he calls after you as the five of you make your way out of the ruins to the church and into the forest. Find out if they've holed up in that cave and get back here. Then by peering, you trek up north of the woods for over a mile before your destination finally comes into view. On top of this steep hillock, you gaze down into the boulder-strewn section of the forest, in the midst of which, set into the base of the steep embankment, is a wide, dark mouth of a cave. Careful now, said Piran, stroking his scarred chin. He peers down the cave mouth. Let's go, but be watchful. Jard, dog, take the flanks. Tibbix, watch our backs. I'll see if you don't mind. The two of us can draw up front. Spread out and go slow. In the exact formation that Pirwin has specified, the five of you descend from the vantage point and begin a steady but cautious approach of the cave. You're less than 30 yards from the cave mouth when Piran suddenly stops and holds up his hand as if to signal silence. Something tells me. A sharp, unmistakable snap of at least a dozen bowstrings suddenly rings out, sending your mind impulse race. You're under attack, Woodsmanship. Realizing that the tangle of a nearby laurel patch will provide shielding from arrows now raining down while you leap into the thick undergrowth and take cover. Your protective canopy lowers you from. Oh no! But the painful screams your four companions makes your blood run cold. You emerge from the laurel, horrified by the sight that greets your eyes. They're all dead. Oh my gosh! What if I don't use fortification when I help them too? I don't want them to be dead. Like, this is how my people get away from things. Like, if you see somebody run. All four of your companions are dead. The victims of crew goblin shafts are now riddled with bloodied, lifeless bodies. Random arrows have ceased, but you suddenly find yourself confronted by a new danger. Four snarling goblins emerge from the thick of the forest and step into your path. The band of gruesome humanoids wielding serrated swords advances fearlessly upon you. All indication this is a formal band of battle-hardened warriors. Archery. And suddenly display speed and skill, you draw your bow and notch an arrow, taking aim at the foremost of the savage goblin crew. Your arrow pierces the goblin chest, dropping the foul creature where he stands. Remaining goblins sweeping the line by quickly gather their wits and rush forward to attack. Dead. The bloody twisted remains of the goblins littered the forest floor at your feet before you even had a chance of rest. Three more of the vicious humanoids stalk up the forest, each wielding a stout wooden spear. The goblins rush forward and you quickly find yourself struggling to fend off their spirited attack. Dead. The goblins are dead. You step back from the pile of corpses and remain watchful for nearly half a minute, half expecting to face a steady stream of vicious creatures pouring out of the woods. When it becomes apparent that no further attacks enemy, you turn in great sadness, look sullen upon the remains of your four-slain companions. Tibstock, Jard, Pirwin, and Dog are dead. You bow your head and silently pray over them, hoping that they rest in peace. You move their bodies away from the goblin corpses and conceal them as best you can before preparing to make your trek back to camp to inform Jirig on what has occurred here. You take less than 10 steps when the sound reaches your ear that instantly demands a new course of action. A long, terrified shriek sails out of the dark cave, eerily resonating throughout the nearby forest. A second scream, clearly human, echoes from the cave, but is abruptly replaced by cemetery and telling silence. Your blood runs cold as the horrifying source of sound you just heard dance about. The goblins have taken human captives into their lair. The realization you may be the only hope that any of the captives the goblins have ever leaving the cave alive sinks in. Any delay on your part will likely cost any humans in the clutch of the goblins their lives. This unsettling thought forms in mind. You turn and take several cautious steps toward the foreboding goblin lair. Yeah, I didn't want to leave anyway. We about to go attack. We about to attack, okay? Goblin walk into the dark. And go. With every sense of alert, for the first sign of danger, you cautiously approach the wide, dark mouth of the cave. In a small thicket, a dozen yards from the cave, provides ample cover, and for the relative security of this vantage point, you closely monitor the entrance to the goblin lair. Having witnessed no sign of any movement in or about the cave for several minutes, you steal out of the thicket and slip into the shadowy cave. We're here. Alright, let's check every alcove. A bulking goblin wielding a broken sword and serrated blade. With a serrated blade, steps to view out of the shadows in the passage. He stands viciously and charges you with surprising speed, forcing you to hold your ground and defend. dead. You step over the bloody corpse of the large goblin, only find yourself surrounded by two more of his kin as they slink out the shadows at the end of the passage. The spear-wielding duo rushes forward and attacks. All they're dead. You think this is a goblin? Horses then discover the key in the pocket of the large goblin, grimy, blood-stained tunic. You pocket the item, rusty iron key. Against the wall at the end, you find a cloth sack containing a large amount of gold. Okay. A pair of tattered, blood-stained boots lie discovered in the cave here. You carefully examine, but decide to leave them where they lay. Yeah, leave them. Blood-soaked cape is crumbling the floor. Oh no. Alright, keep going, keep going. Movement in the shadows ahead frees you and track you. Stick using a defensive stance as a trio of cave goblins stop to view. Or they're dead. You gotta be rich. Two large spear-wielding goblins suddenly loom into view out of the shadows ahead. These pair of goblins seem to be dutifully guarding the passage. Archery. Since they like archery, we can do some archery. Draw your bow and notch your arrow, taking aim with the closer of the two goblin guards. Goblin spot you just as you're about to release your shot and charge along the passage. Told you before the intended target is already too late. Your arrow whistles along the cave passage and strikes the foremost goblin, swelling in the center of its chest. The savage creature desperately tears at the feathered trap, but within seconds, being struck, he collapses and expires. The cohort shrieks wildly and continues to charge, his spear poised to run into you. The vicious cave drum snarls, exposing a mouthful of sharp, decaying teeth as he savagely stabs at you with his crude wooden spear. Oh no, he's dead. Hey, more gold. Right, let's keep going. What's over here? 3 humans, 2 men and a woman. 2 men and a woman. Their hands and feet manacled are chained to a large stone block in the center of the small alcove. The captives bear obvious signs of cruel misuse. They look up at you, and for a brief instant see a flicker of hope pass across their broken gazes. Help us. They plead this. You must help us. Sure. Wrigley set upon freeing the humans. I got the key. But let's use thievery. It takes a few moments that you make expert use of your lockpicks and effectively open removal of the manacles that bind the captives. As each of their bindings gets open, you cast the heavy metal pieces to the ground. Overjoyed but still very weak, the freed humans stagger to the feet, repeating thank you. Tears of joy wells up in their eyes. Realizing that they remain in danger for every moment they linger here, you properly lead them out of the alcove along the dark twisted passage of the goblin lair, all the way back to the mouth of the cave. The free captives thank you again, and you instruct them to get as far away from this part of the forest as possible. As they depart, you turn a step back into the shadowy cave. From the start. Can I check this alcove again or what? Nothing's in there. Okay, I gotcha. More goblins. Who are now dead. Help us. You must help us. Okay, I'll use the key this time. Where's the iron key? Use it. We gotta lead them back out of the cave. Alright, let's keep going. You think every one of these arcade is a person? Is people? Probably. Well, we want to get rid of the goblins in this area for sure. Okay, let's go this way. What's happening here? Suddenly out of the corner of your eye, you catch several figures crouching in the shadow of a head and ambush. Without warning, the spear hurtles out of the gloom, streaking towards you. You twitch as you laugh, narrowly avoiding the deadly missile. A chorus of cruel and human shrieks suddenly fills the passage as 5 armored goblins, warriors, come into view. Or, you know, they're dead. Alright, let's check this alcove here before we go down. Yep. Help him. Use the key. Overjoyed. Yes, now we gotta come back from the beginning. Yeah, rejuvenation. Okay. They know something's happening. That's what's happening here. Every little step I take Footprint goblins. Alright, let's go south. There's a lot of people in here. Where'd they get all these people? Hey, the small alcove bears evidence of a recent struggle. Blood is splattered on the floor and walls. Broken half of a spear been discarded in one corner. You're about to turn and leave when you spot a curious shining object. It's the far wall. Closer examination reveals it's a glowing silver ring. Pick up the ring and slip it in your pocket. You're satisfied you haven't overlooked anything and once again set off. Gressland passage when 8 goblins are moving in your direction. Alright, let's choose something else. How about illusion? Carefully craft illusion. A group of humans fleeing past to the north is enough to make the vicious band of goblins oblique in hopes of capturing a larger prize. The goblin charge past you in the pursuit of illusionary humans. Cool streaks acting off the walls of the passage to wake. After nearly a minute, there is no indication they're returning. You could cautiously continue on your way. So one goblin stays behind to attack. And now he's dead, so bad decision. Helm goblin clad in tattered suit of leather armor springs to face you as you step in the small alcove. He draws a broad-bladed axe which he levels threateningly. I'll have your blood, human. Kill. Use distraction this time. You focus the power of distraction to chain the manacles and bind the human captives. Laser sweat upon your brows, you're straining to focus a surging tide of negative raw energy on the heavy iron piece, and suddenly, as you relieve the chain, the manacles no longer able to restrain your power. Magical assault, crumble and fall, the floor in pieces. Controlled by are still very weak, and the three freed humans stagger to their feet and flee, attacking you as tears of joy well up in their arms. Realizing they remain in danger from every moment they linger there, you humbly lead them out of the alcove. Yeah, so lead them out, and then we gotta trek all the way back from the beginning. Gosh. God. Okay, all the way up. I like it's not me going all the way up. Alright, this time I'm gonna go the other way. Hey, money. I'm gonna go back this way. See what's happening. Okay, we've been in here. I'm trying to check all the small alcoves. Let's use a key. Yeah, we've saved them. Because that's probably where the people are. Yes, kill the goblins. We don't want to miss any of the people. That's all I know. I'm not going to miss a single soul. Alright, we're going this way. Going. Ooh, a scythe. I don't want that. I feel like one passage is gonna lead to the end or something. See, there's more people here. Telekinesis. You summon your power of mind over matter and focus your telekinetic energies on the lock mechanism that binds the heavy chains of the captive's manacles. After several moments, there's a satisfying click signature of success. The manacles split to the hands and feet to the human snap open and drops to the floor. Then we lead them up. Keep going. Know that you always count on me. Alright, let's try this again. So we've been in here. Now we've been in here. Now, is it gonna be a pair of large goblins clad in seem to be in view. Let's do archery. What? How dare you fail? Okay, the movie set in the small chamber in the passage relation personal leader. 72 goblins. I think I'm gonna come back to this. I want to see what's the other way first. So I'm gonna read the full thing right now until I see what's in the other direction. Okay, so there's more people to help. Here's the key. Alright, we get them out, and now we can go kill some people. That's everybody. We've been everywhere in here, so we've saved everybody. There is to save. Now we're gonna kill some people. I thought I was going to get a reading in, but I guess not. Sorry. We step over Umbrix's corpse and assume a defensive stance, silently challenging one of the remaining two goblin brothers to engage with a challenge that's readily answered. The second brother, shorter but heavier than Umbrix, strides towards you, brandishing a large, curved knife with an alarming degree of skill. Almost faster than you are able to react to, he is upon you, stabbing at you with a deadly sharp blade. Now he's dead. No sooner is Ixbrig's bloody corpse slumps before you, attacked by the long remaining goblin brother. He attacks you with an iron hand axe, grunting and snarling with each savage stroke. This is why good places around. At last overcome by his wound, Oxbrig stumbles and collapses at his feet. He catches you with his dying breath and then goes still. So half expect to have engaged the other goblin, but as much he's no longer there. Where is he? He didn't rolled off? Search the bodies of the three slain goblin brothers and the other weapons are excellent craftsmanship. I'll take the elixir. Okay. Once outside the chamber, you constantly make your way out of the goblin lair. Now and again, your progress is delayed by discovering one of the human captives. Only when you have freed the thankful prisoners do you continue to move toward the mouth of the cave. At last, you arrive at the mouth of the cave and emerge into the flesh and the sun-drenched forest. You spend the next several minutes checking out equipment and tending some of the goblin fellow captives who have gathered here. When you are certain that they are safely on the way, you set off to reunite with Jirig and the ruins of the old church. You eager to relate the details of your most recent adventure. You're feeling he wants to hear all about this one. And it's people who are dead. Alright. Well, that's the end. This will be a little shorter because the last one was very long. But yeah. All our companions died, but we saved a bunch of people, so that is sort of balancing the scales a little bit. Thank you so much for joining me. We're going to continue on this troll quest until we get Trollbont, which is another skill in weaponry, which is going to be good for us. So, thanks so much for hanging out and joining me. You know what I'm going to say. Peace.